online. Initials NB from Toronto. Hayakallah Sheikh. What is the best way to tackle the reading of a large book with many volumes? Like page number minimum versus time minimum. Versus time minute. Yes.
So, what's the best way of tackling a big book that has volumes?
And it says group reading versus reading alone, etc.
Group reading versus reading alone, etc. Well, first and foremost, I would humbly say you have to have a purpose. You have to have a reason. Do I need to read this 20-volume book? Or is it just a reference book in which I go back to it only when I need it? Or it's a book only for bahth or takhrij? Or is it kitab yuqra? To be read from beginning to end, cover to cover, over and over again. Kitab yutala fi, a book in which you just open up from time to time and just read it sporadically. So first and foremost, you have to have a reason. You have to have an aim. You have to have a purpose of the book. Everyone understand this? That's first and foremost. So if it is a book that you should read over and over again, or you should memorize, or it's a book that you need, or it's a book that's your favorite or one of your favorites. One may say, I know it isn't a book that's a pocket book. It's not a book to be read, but I love it and I want to read it over and I never ever get enough. The next step is to sacrifice. You have to cut out some of the other smaller books that you're reading and some of the other smaller classes that you may take. You may say to yourself, I have a teacher or teachers, an hour here, 30 minutes there, 45 minutes there. But it's not as fun, nor is it as beneficial for me to spend an hour on this big book and read it. And then if I have that class every day, that's 7 hours now out of 7 days. How many pages can I read in 7 hours? How much of this book? This one volume here is 2 volumes in one, but this is at least how many pages? At least 500. At least. How long is it going to take me to read a 500-page book if I have 7 hours a week? And I'm a pretty good reader. I'm reading to myself. It's not like I'm reading out loud. I don't get tired. I'm not worrying about making a mistake. I'm just sitting there, what? Reading it. Speed reading or not, it's going to take me relatively what? It's not going to take that long. It's not going to what? It's not going to take that long. So you have to prioritize. You have to get rid of some of those other what? Classes and what? Books, if you love that book that much and it's such a big and large what? Book. Everybody understand that? Step number 3 is learning how to speed read, which is a skill that you can learn. Step number 4 is learning how to peruse. It may not be a book in which you have to read every single word, but you can what? People, they send me messages or they say, can you read it? It says, you watched it that fast? You listened to the video that fast? You heard my khutbah that fast? You read it that quick? You didn't read my whole message. And they don't understand that what? I either read it through my speed reading or I just did what? And I've done so many messages or watched so many videos or listened to so many khutbahs or so many brothers' clips or questions in which I don't have to listen to every single second. I got it. So you have to ask yourself, do you have that skill and that talent? Everyone understand this? If you do, then you can knock out 500 pages like what? Even quicker than that. Next point of advice is never climb Mount Fiji considering it to be Mount Fiji or Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest or the Rocky Mountains, whatever mountain it is, Uhud. Don't look at it as this huge gigantic mountain. Look at it as a big piece by piece. 1,000-mile journey begins with what? 1 step. So this is a huge book. It's a thick book. So someone that's not a serious, hardcore reader is going to be extremely intimidating. But someone who is a hardcore reader, he says, this is what? I can break this down to what? Like that. And someone who is a beginner or novice can also take the technique of taking what? Slow but steady. And not looking at it as, whoa, how am I going to get up this thing? Start climbing. Everyone understand this? So that's very important with regards to your psyche as a talib al-ilm or a talibatul ilm. Is how to break down something that seems to be what? Big. The next point of advice is, what rush are you in? What's the rush? It's not important that you finish or get to the finish line. It's important that you stay in the race. Whether you live or whether you get there or not, it's important that you die in a state that's pleasing to what? Allah Azza wa Jal. And you can never ever get all of the knowledge. And you can never encompass all of the ilm. What's important is that you what? You keep doing it. That's the only thing that's important, is that you remain upon the path. If you have a personal goal or an agenda it's going to make you happy, you're going to feel good, you're going to feel righteous, you're going to feel studious, you want to do it, then try it. But don't necessarily always have that on your what? On your mind. The last piece of advice with regards to reading a big book, in which there are many volumes, is learning how to read a book without taking notes. Learning how to read a book without what? Taking notes. And oftentimes, or you may say, if I can't take notes, what's the point of reading a book? If I can't write down the fawaid, right? Or there's certain things that have to be written down because I don't know if I'll be able to find them again. Or life is short. You know what I'm saying? It's all of these things slow you down from reading a book. So you may have to bring an alternative, which is memorize the faida immediately. Take a screenshot with your what? With your eyes. Get it. Khalas, keep moving. And you may make a mistake second, third time. You may feel like you're losing them. But if you keep doing it with the proper training and you keep taking your time, bathing in that, it will come to you. And you force yourself to do what? Memorize the faida. Or if you can't memorize the faida, you force yourself to know where to go back and look for it. And it may take you more time, but you'll what? Get better the second or the third time around. Everyone understand this? Or a person may say, force yourself to avoid trying to take the fawaid, and perhaps the faida itself will find a comfortable place in your mind and your heart. Maybe the faida will what? Like you. And you never know. You could be speaking or talking, and the subconscious is just what? Comes up. And I'm only speaking off experience. I'm not speaking off some crazy Sufi stuff. It's a reality. You never know what your mind what? Can do and what it captures. So you have to push yourself, huh? That's the best advice that I can give. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. This next question will be our last question tonight.
The question is from SE from Munich, Germany. Why do we specifically mention